Right now, somewhere in your body, an alarm is going off. You can't hear it, you can't see it, but it's there. It feels like sadness. It feels like missing someone. It feels like silence in a room that used to have noise in it. But that feeling isn't really sadness at all. It's older than sadness. It's older than language. It's a survival alarm that has been ringing inside human bodies for hundreds of thousands of years, and it is ringing inside yours right now, every time you feel alone. Here's the strange part. Your brain doesn't know the difference between being alone in a room and being alone on a frozen plain with no fire and no group. To your nervous system, both situations look identical. Both situations look like death. That sounds dramatic. It isn't. It's biology. For most of human history, you did not survive as an individual. You survived as a member of a group. A human being alone on the savannah, separated from the tribe, was not a free spirit. They were prey. No claws, no fangs, no thick hide. Just a slow, soft, two-legged animal that needed 40 or 50 other humans nearby to fend off lions, share food, and keep watch while everyone slept. So evolution did something clever. It built a punishment system into your body for being alone, and a reward system for being close to others. Loneliness isn't a mood, it's pain. Real, physical pain. In 2003, a psychologist named Naomi Eisenberger ran an experiment that changed how scientists understood this. She put people inside a brain scanner and had them play a simple ball-tossing game with two other players. Except the other two players were computer-controlled, and partway through they stopped throwing the ball to the participant. They just left them out. The participant's brain lit up in the exact same region that activates during physical injury, the anterior cingulate cortex. The same circuitry that fires when you stub your toe or burn your hand fired when a person was simply excluded from a game with strangers they had never met and would never see again. Being left out doesn't just feel bad. Your brain processes it as actual physical harm. Why would evolution wire it that way? Because for a social animal, exclusion was injury. If your tribe pushed you out, your odds of surviving the next winter collapsed. So your ancestors who felt intense, gut-wrenching pain at the thought of being abandoned were the ones who fought hardest to stay connected. They apologized faster. They cooperated more. They noticed the first signs of being pushed to the edge of the group, and they corrected course before it was too late. The ones who didn't feel that pain wandered off, and they usually didn't come back. You are descended from the ones who felt it. Every one of your ancestors, going back tens of thousands of generations, was someone who cared enough about belonging to stay close to other humans. That caring is stitched into your nervous system today. This is where it gets stranger. Loneliness doesn't just hurt emotionally. It changes your body at a cellular level. John Cacioppo, a researcher who spent decades studying social isolation at the University of Chicago, found that chronic loneliness raises cortisol levels, weakens immune function, and increases inflammation throughout the body. People who report being chronically lonely have a mortality risk comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Read that again. Loneliness is not just unpleasant. Statistically, it is closer to a health condition than a mood. Why would your body do this to you? Why would it make isolation that costly? Because for nearly all of human history, isolation actually was that costly. There was no such thing as a safe kind of alone. A human without a group had no one to share food during a bad season, no one to warn them of a predator while they slept, no one to help fight off illness or injury. Your body still runs on that old code, even though your modern life looks completely different. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Your body cannot tell the difference between loneliness caused by physical isolation and loneliness caused by feeling unseen in a crowded room. You can be surrounded by people at a party, at work, in a group chat with 40 members, and still trigger the exact same alarm your ancestors felt while stranded alone on a cliffside. The alarm isn't about how many bodies are near you, it's about whether you feel like you belong to them. This explains something that confuses a lot of people about modern life. You can scroll through hundreds of faces on a screen, technically connected to more humans than your ancestors ever met in their entire lives, and still feel an ache that has no clear name. That ache is the same ancient circuitry. It was built for tribes of 50. It was never built for an infinite feed of strangers. Researcher Robin Dunbar proposed a now famous idea about this. He found that the human brain has a cognitive limit on how many real relationships it can meaningfully track, somewhere around 150 people. Not 150 followers, not 150 contacts, 150 people whose lives you actually understand, whose names carry context, whose absence you would notice. Past that number, your brain treats people more like scenery than tribe. So when you feel lonely despite being connected, it isn't a contradiction. It's your evolutionary wiring correctly noticing that none of those hundreds of digital connections are doing the job your nervous system actually needs done. Quantity was never the cure, closeness was. Think about what loneliness actually does to your behavior, moment to moment. It makes you hyper-aware of social cues. You start reading more into a delayed text reply. You start noticing who didn't invite you, who didn't laugh at your joke, who scrolled past your message without responding. This isn't you being dramatic or oversensitive. This is the ancient alarm doing exactly what it was built to do, scanning constantly for signs that you're being pushed out of the group, because being pushed out of the group used to be a death sentence. Your ancestors who survived were the ones whose alarm was sensitive enough to catch the earliest signs of exclusion. So if you find yourself replaying a conversation, wondering if someone is upset with you, wondering if you said the wrong thing, you're not broken. You're running incredibly old software in a brand new world. The world changed fast. Your biology didn't. For 200,000 years, humans lived in small, tight groups where everyone knew everyone. Then, in the blink of an evolutionary eye, in just the last 100 years or so, that structure dissolved. People moved away from extended family. Cities grew enormous and anonymous. Work became something you did alongside people you might never actually know. And more recently, screens replaced shared rooms. Your nervous system is still calibrated for the tribe. It has no setting for a city of 8 million people who don't know your name. So what do you do with an alarm system built for a world that no longer exists? You don't silence it. You listen to it. Loneliness isn't a flaw in you. It's a signal, the same way thirst is a signal, the same way pain is a signal. It exists to point you back toward connection, not to punish you for lacking it. The discomfort is the mechanism, not the malfunction. Researchers have found something hopeful buried in all of this. The cure for loneliness isn't more contact, it's the right kind of contact. Studies on social connection consistently show that a small number of close, trusted relationships protects against the harmful effects of isolation far more powerfully than a large number of shallow ones. Quality silences the alarm, quantity barely touches it. That's worth sitting with. You don't need 50 friends, you need a few people who would actually notice if you disappeared. So the next time that ache shows up, the quiet, restless feeling that something is missing even though nothing is technically wrong, remember what it actually is. It isn't weakness. It isn't a personal failure. It's hundreds of thousands of years of evolutionary memory, reminding you that you were never built to survive completely on your own. That alarm kept your ancestors alive on the open plains, huddled together against a darkness with no electricity, no walls, no certainty. It pushed them to stay close, to repair conflict, to reach out before it was too late. It's still doing its job. Right now, somewhere in your body, ringing.